My name's Rhapsody, his name's Lollash, and welcome back to How to Beat Slay the Spire. How's it going, Lollash?
It's going well, Raps. How you doing?
I'm doing quite damn well. I'm currently nursing a vodka mixer because I have somewhere to be after this, but at the moment, I'm doing quite well. Also, we've got the Silent that we're going to be playing with in this episode. Now, the Silent has a absolutely horrifying art update here. It's actually going to stare directly into my mind's eye during my nightmares, but you know, it's good.
I love it. I love it.
I like it.
It's so good.
I never said I don't like it. I just said it will give me nightmares.
Okay.
Ooh, okay, so it looks like unless we want the world's most boring path, we're going to be fighting an elite quite early. Now, one of the big things you have to worry about as the Silent is elites are pretty deadly to you in the early game because the Gremlin Knob, I mean, your deck is more slated towards skills in the early game than anything else, and the Gremlin Knob will just destroy you as a result. The Lagavulin is a damage race, and you don't have that much damage in your deck. You don't have the benefit of Bash with the vulnerability that the Ironclad has, so you can't really overpower it. Oftentimes, it will actually just drain all of your strength in your decks and leave you incapable of defeating it, and the sentries are kind of fine.
See, so for me here, I would take the easy path on the first floor, because the Silent needs some time to get going. Like, the Ironclad's fine right out the gate. The Silent, you need a little bit more time to play with. I would take the super easy path, which is no elites, but multiple campfires and a shop, right? If I'm looking at it right.
It's got 3 question marks, multiple campfires, and a shop quite early. Yeah, you're right.
I would take the 50% HP for a rare relic and power up on floor 1. Because 50% HP for a rare relic is basically a free elite fight for us, because we will take 50% of our HP against an elite at least.
Yes.
As the Silent on the first floor. So I would take that, skip the actual elite fights, and go up the left-hand path here.
Do you think there's any benefit in possibly choosing obtain through random potions, because those potions will help you power through an elite fight, in which case we can choose a path that has question mark, 2 rests, elite fight, rest, and 3 question marks later? A lot more events on the first floor.
Yeah, the first floor events aren't super exciting though.
They're oftentimes removals though. They're not, they don't change your whole deck, but they do remove cards quite often.
That's right. We're going to build a fat disco Silent on this run. I can smell it. That rare relic is going to be Tincture.
All right. For the record, I would have taken the potions and gone in the other path. This is Tori. Whenever you receive 5 or less unblocked attack damage, reduce it to 1. Now, that's actually slightly better in the Silent than it is better in the Ironclad, and that's courtesy of the fact that the Silent has easy access to weaken, whereas the Ironclad only has disarm for just dropping the direct, and some sources weaken, but for dropping the direct amount of incoming damage. And as a result of that, you can oftentimes have an enemy that's doing like 6 times 6, you weaken it, and it's suddenly only doing 6 damage total.
Yeah, Tori is one of the best relics in the game, especially on Silent.
Whee! Get him. Now, this is actually probably the best set of opening hands you can get here, right?
Yes, in that order.
Mm-hmm. It's either you can have that order, or you can have the Survivor instead of a Defend. I probably should have double defended and only used 1 strike there. I didn't need to use that HP.
You really should have defended there.
I was trying to auto-play that. Now, do you take a Sneaky Strike? By the way, have you seen Sneaky Strike, the upgraded or updated Underhanded?
I have, yes. And I do not like it as a card at all.
Okay, so there's 2 reasons why I like Sneaky Strike. Outmoded by all the thousands of reasons I don't. So I'm not about to argue for it. But there is Necronomicon. Cast it twice, you actually get a refund of energy for playing it. That's actually it. I thought I would be able to come up with another one in that meantime, but no, it's just Necronomicon. So we're going to be passing on this one?
So here's the thing. We don't have, like, at the moment we have one discard card in our deck, and we're likely to get more, but I don't think it adds any power to our deck right now, and I'd rather keep the deck thin in case we get the opportunity for something else. Like maybe next card is a grand finale, and we decide to go for a grand finale deck or something.
If you make me build like an this is the best opening hand against this character, by the way. If you make me build an actual successful grand finale, oh boy, I'm gonna be so pleased about that. And the best second turn, Jawworm can be really, really aggressive against the Silent, and it's just being really kind to us here.
Yeah, it was a weak third turn there, unfortunately, but we'll get the kill. Okay. So...
Okay, hang on. Here's something. Let's discuss Prepared for a bit. Because people get mad at me when I don't pick it. And I have had to explain way too many times in comment threads what is wrong with Prepared. Lollash, what's wrong with Prepared?
Prepared costs you a card. If you draw 5 cards and one of them is a prepared, you can draw another card and discard an existing card, but you're still down 1 card because the prepared is gone.
Yep.
Which means that you're adding a card to your deck. Prepared is a card that you want in a deck that is large and has a lot of like utility tools in it that you need to look for on a particular turn. That's when prepared is good. Otherwise, prepared, every time you draw prepared, you are basically getting a little bit of decision in what is in your hand, but you have 1 less card in your hand on that turn.
Yep.
So it's not a bad card per se. It's better when it's upgraded because it lets you dig twice and get rid of 2 cards. So if you've got like 3 defends in your hand and you only need 1, you can discard 2 of them and look for a more offensive card. But it's not a snap pick. It's not like draw a card for free. It costs you a card, even though it doesn't cost you energy.
Yep. I would agree with that in general, but there's a few addendums I want to make, which is in a deck that has curses, it's much better because you can just discard those curses because you don't want them in hand anyway. Oftentimes they have a negative effect at the end of the turn, if not during the turn, like Pain. But also on top of that, a lot of it is a kind of play style difference. Right, I tend to remove every card from my deck that doesn't perform what I want it to, so that my hands are consistently okay. Whereas Prepared is for mitigating having bad hands, or for benefiting from discards, but we don't have any discard benefit yet.
Yeah, so here I would pick the Concentrate. I really do like Concentrate. I think that it works in a lot of different decks. It works if you get Ice Cream, it works if you get Top, it works if you get, what's a really good example? Expertise is a great card that synergizes well with Concentrate. It's an excellent energy gain card, it costs you 0, it plays into discard synergies, and it's uncommon. So I would pick the Concentrate here, because worst case scenario, it's exactly like Prepared. You draw it and you have 1 less card in your hand. But best case scenario, it lets you play higher cost cards, it synergizes with discard, it gains you energy that you can store until next turn with Ice Cream, it gains you energy into an infinite draw deck. There are so many things that work well with Concentrate that I would pick up 1 copy early.
I'm surprised that you rate Concentrate that highly. Concentrate is a card that I would only pick up after I have one of those elements, especially considering both Ice Cream and the Unceasing Top are rare relics.
Yeah, it's true, but you think of it this way, right? If you've got Concentrate and 1 Acrobatics, you have for 1 energy, effectively, you have draw 3 cards, gain 2 energy at the end of the turn. It has a lot of potential synergies.
It definitely does. It's just it's one of the cards like Eviscerate or something like that I wouldn't pick up until I already had the synergy for it prepared.
And I think that's a fair call, except in the I love the new slime cards. Except in the circumstance where it's a rare card, right? Like, if it's a rare card and it can play into a lot of different deck archetypes and synergize super well with a lot of different relics and things, then I'll consider picking up a copy early, especially if the deck doesn't already have a direction. If we'd already found a Noxious Fumes, for instance,
Right.
then I would be less willing to pick up Concentrate because the deck already has an identity.
Mhm.
So,
Again, for those people keeping track in the audience, I would not have taken that Concentrate. I just want to point this out so that people are aware that I'm oftentimes doing things that I don't want to do.
so here is an interesting one because Flying Knee is way better than a Strike.
Yeah.
Like, way better than a Strike. It's a really strong basic attack card.
Mm-hmm.
But
we don't have any discard. This is an upgraded Strike with a prepared attached to it.
Yeah.
Don't do that to me. Flying Knee is just like a nice value card, especially in a deck where we're planning to pick up a lot of draw because of the Concentrate. We're going to have use for that extra energy from the Flying Knee.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at Crippling Poison. And hear me out here. It's a strong source of weak into bosses and things. And a single Crippling Poison, even in like a 20 card deck, is perfectly capable of keeping a boss permanently weakened, which is a pretty big deal, right? Or an elite permanently weakened with just a single Crippling Poison. And it does, with the upgrade, because it's definitely a card that you consider upgrading to get 5 weak, 5 poison.
Mm-hmm.
With an upgrade, it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 damage, right? Which is 15 damage for 2 energy. It just takes 5 turns. So the damage isn't bad. 15 for 2 is pretty good damage efficiency.
Yeah, but you can't look at it for 15 for 2. Right? 15 for 2 is super, like, especially in a game where you need to kill things up front because enemies get stronger over time and the amount of enemies on the board becomes overwhelming when you exhaust your resources. You can't look at a card that does its damage over 5 turns and say it does that damage. That's just not a fair comparison.
No, it's not. And I do want to have the caveat. The main reason you pick Crippling Poison is the 5 turns a week.
It is, but I would argue that there are so many other ways to get better weakness in this deck. For example, if we see a leg sweep, I'm going to be really mad that we have a Crippling Poison in the deck. If we see a Sucker Punch even, I'd be really sad about the Crippling Poison. If we saw Malaise,
Really?
I'd be sad about the Crippling Poison. Yeah, an upgraded Sucker Punch is 9 damage and 2 weak. That's pretty damn significant.
It's pretty good. But do you know what's 9 damage and
Specifically
5
with
weak
Torrent.
over the course of 2 turns?
You know what costs more?
I know. I think any of these cards would be viable picks into a deck without an identity, which is what we've got at the moment. I'm happy to defer to you on this one. I think
Sure.
Flying Knee is really solid. I think Dagger Throw is really solid. I think Crippling Poison is really solid. So.
Just gonna discard those for no reason. I'm going with the Flying Knee, especially because of the thing that I outlined at the very start, which is that we have a deck which is already incentivizing picking up draws, so we're not likely to float that energy. And the reason we've got a deck that is incentivizing draws is because of this Concentrate.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's just so much better than a Strike, even pre-upgrade. So.
Mhm. It's oftentimes a card that I will take, like, I've got elites coming up, I guess I'll just take that.
Yeah, you don't want to skip. There's Malaise. Yeah, Malaise is great, especially in a deck with a lot of energy. Concentrate into Malaise is a great combo.
So, I think we both agree that Malaise is our first upgrade in this deck, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Malaise's upgrade goes from apply X, which is the cost that you use to cast it, to X plus 1 for enemy loses X plus 1 strength, enemy loses, or rather gains X plus 1 weakness, and it's exhausted. When you play this on certain elites, certain enemies, or certain bosses, that's the end of them. You just get free reign while they stand there doing nothing. Especially combined with Tori, it is going to make a lot of bosses incapable of dealing damage to us.
Yeah, it's going to be really solid.
No.
Hey, look, Tincture. It's gone.
So,
It's gone.
so that's not what I'm crying about. What I'm crying... No, I'm not even going to mention it. I don't need to mention it. It's fine. We're just going to leave the shop, right? Right?
Yeah. No, we're going to cut a card.
Good. Okay, so I'll point out what I was crying about there for a second, because there's a well-laid plans and a grand finale on sale in the shop. But we've already added cards to this deck, and we've also added discard cards to this deck. It's going to be really difficult to keep any identity while trying to go for the well-laid plans grand finale. But on top of that, with the well-laid plans grand finale, you really want the deck to be thinner so that you can consistently do it. And we don't have the draw, and we've already fattened up our deck.
Yeah, I think you could change directions here. You could pivot and you could go for a grand finale deck, a well-laid plans grand finale deck, but I think we'd really struggle to get through the first floor. I think it'd turn on by the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
We've got another shop coming up. And basically, if we decide to go that route, from this point onwards, we only pick up, like, a backflip, a prepared, a acrobatics, and then just start culling cards from the deck.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll make the first floor super difficult, so I don't know if it's worth it on this particular run.
So, defend or strike? What do you cut first as the silent?
In this deck, because we've added a flying knee, you could get rid of a strike. But on the same token, we have... Well, here's the thing. If we cut a strike, because we've picked up a flying knee, which is just way better than a strike anyway,
yep.
And keep the deck a little on the defensive side, we can probably perfect the boss with a Malaise combo.
That's true, but I think we can perfect
bosses...
the boss with a Malaise combo anyway.
Yeah, maybe. I would cut the strike, personally.
Okay.
And aim for a slightly more defensive deck.
What the hell went on there? That was a weird removal?
Yeah, don't know, but it worked. So we upgrade Malaise.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Malaise, if we first turn, or even second turn, Malaise plus Concentrate against the boss here, he gets to a point where he's like -6 strength and hits us for maximum 4 damage.
Mm-hmm. So I can Malaise here, and my enemy will only hit me for 1 this turn, but it also neutralizes all of their future turns.
Yes. Yes, you do that, for sure.
Now, unfortunately... Man, if we had just like an extra strike in this deck... I'm kidding, obviously. Yeah, we're not going to be able to kill this enemy before it runs away with all of our money.
Which is fine, because there's no shops coming up in the immediate future. We only lost a little bit of cash. Okay.
We still don't, like, really have support for the Sneaky Strike. Because if we get Sneaky Strike in a hand, and we even use Discard to discard the energy to cast Sneaky Strike, we're going to have 4 freaking energy and nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but
no,
also...
I don't like Sneaky Strike.
Yeah. I do like Backstab, but I don't like it in this deck. Because I don't want anything taking our opening hand space for the ability to get like a ridiculous Malaise off early.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I was gonna make an argument for Backstab because it is some upfront burst to help deal with like some of the really scary enemies that you want to get rid of in one turn.
Sure, but don't you feel like that's a bit like Jack of all trades, master of none? If we go for upfront burst and then by doing so kind of jeopardize our ongoing kind of archetype?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think the second upgrade should go on either Concentrate, either Concentrate or Neutralize.
I think it's Neutralize here.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 turns of weak, particularly in a 14-card deck, means that we will fairly reliably be able to keep weak on the enemy, especially after a Malaise combo.
Sure.
Omori is a great stock relic, so... So I think this is single defend, concentrate, Malaise, one of them.
Just Malaise one of them out of the fight. Okay, I can see that.
Because if we single defend, concentrate, Malaise the back guy, then we can just focus down the front guy.
Concentrate and Malaise are going to work together a lot better as we continue kind of chiseling this deck.
Yeah.
Especially as soon as we get extra card draw. Good lord, that hand!
Oh dear.
It's only 1 damage we're actually blocking there. It's worth noting because of the Tori. But, hey, worked out.
It's still worth blocking that 1 damage. See, if Quick Slash was Pommel Strike,
Yeah, maybe.
we'd take it. We'd take it for sure. Draw 2 cards is real nice. Oh god. I mean, we want card draw. Is Quick Slash the card draw we want?
It's definitely not the card draw we want, though. We want multiple card draw. Like, this replaces itself, and it never upgrades to replace anything more. Like, we want Acrobatics, draw 4, discard 1, or we want backflip. Whew, good lord. Or
Rhapsody,
expertise, especially.
Maybe you should stop, like, drinking that vodka thingy that you're drinking right now. I'm concerned. Alright.
No, it's expertise that we're looking for, especially.
Yeah, expertise is a big one. Okay, I'd say skip.
Is there any argument to be made
sad.
for Bouncing Flask? Because we have very little damage that we can actually do to enemies right now.
Bouncing Flask is a lot of damage. It's
It
one
is?
of my favorite cards in the Silent by a long stretch.
It wouldn't be like a pick for our actual deck archetype. It would literally just be a value pick for killing bosses and elites.
Yeah, right. Pick up Bouncing Flask. I think you need to upgrade it to really make it worth its 2 energy.
Yep.
But yeah, I would pick it. So once again here, I think this is Survivor into a malaise. Oh, but the big, oh god, I think we might get slapped here. I think you've got a Bouncing Flask.
Yeah, I think we Bouncing Flask and then we malaise the backline, because that malaise is going to be 1 removal of strength and 1 weaken, which means this Louse is only going to hit us for 5, which means it's only going to deal 1 damage because of the Tori. Because they attack
fair.
front to back.
Very true. Very
Oh, sorry, 4.
true.
Beautiful. We do have the damage to just outright kill that Louse right now. And considering the fact that it's likely to weaken us, probably a good idea.
Yes.
Concentrates in the next hands, as well as 2 defends.
So this is just defend, and then cry.
Yeah.
Cry a little bit.
I always feel weird making that turn where I purposefully don't play a strike, because it's just not going to get past their block value, because I always know that there's going to be someone who says, oh, you could have played that strike. Ugh, but it wouldn't have done anything.
So I think this is a skip again.
Yeah. As much as I'm a huge proponent of Cloak and Dagger, because I think it fits into almost every Silent build, I don't think it fits into this Silent build.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger is probably, in my opinion, the most powerful card in most Silent decks. This is a remove for sure. Oh, but...
Yeah, but this end boss is not going to be a problem as soon as we malaise them.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, no. Alright, this is a remove.
Has to be a
Probably
defend.
cut a basic defend, yep.
Yeah.
We want to try and keep a balance of offense and defense in the deck.
We do have a Strength
it.
Potion and a Dex Potion. Greed?
We greed it. Yeah,
Good.
we greed it.
No!
It's fine. We started with Bouncing Flask and Neutralize and Flying Knee in our opening hand.
It's a good opening hand, I'll give you that. Should we have used Strength Potion? We're missing 2 damage by the fact that I've already used a Neutralize.
Yeah, you probably should have. If that 2 damage results in us dying, chat, I want you to take note.
Mm-hmm.
Rhapsody not using potions. Why didn't you concentrate malaise there?
That's a good point.
I mean, you do give him 2 extra strength to
But
remove 1 extra strength.
But I take... No, I only take... I give him 2 extra strength to remove 2 extra strength, but I get 2 extra turns of weaken.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew my brain went, he should have played it there. I just couldn't work out why. Still, that was a really good gremlin fight.
Yep.
And we got a block potion, which will help us perfect boss pro.
Also picked up the Juzu bracelet. Regular enemy combats are no longer encountered in question mark rooms, which means our events are much more reliable. On top of that, by the way, we previously got Omamori negate the next 2 curses you obtain. I just didn't comment on it at the time.
Adrenaline,
Yeah.
adrenaline. See an adrenaline, pick an adrenaline.
Yeah, Adrenaline's an auto pick because it replaces itself, then draws another card, and gives you another energy on top. It is ridiculously powerful. It's basically the silence version of Offering, but has no downside.
Yeah, it's real good. Flying knees 8 damage, right? Oh, we don't have strength potion. Damn. We could have like one-shot one of the little bugs.
So if we survive it here, we actually only take 1 damage because the first attacks us for 7, the second one attacks us for 1, and then 5 gets through, but the 5 that gets through is reduced by Tori. So
Tori's such a good relic.
It's so good. So I think we take that 1 and then we distribute our strikes in flying knees. Get everyone curled up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool. We're also going to be weakened this turn, so we've got to remember that our strikes from this point on are likely only going to deal 4 damage. So getting enemies down to 4 HP is pretty good. So that's why I focus this Louse. And then the other 2 pretty much just get whatever is left.
Yeah, and then we hope that the guy with 9 HP... I was going to say doesn't hit us this turn, but you know. This is pretty bad, Raps.
I think we Bouncing Flask and just see if any of them are going to die with a Bouncing Flask plus the Neutralize. I mean, Neutralize is 3 damage. Weaken.
Yeah, no, we definitely Bouncing Flask here. We're probably going to end up having to pop a block potion.
Okay, one of them's dead.
Good. That's real good. So if we were to neutralize the front guy...
Would deal 5. In fact, we can actually take only 1 damage this turn, neutralize the front guy, play the defend, and then melee's the back line for 0. For 1
yeah,
even.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. One damage. Not that bad.
And then we kill him this turn. Yep.
No. Because he's dead next turn regardless, so we actually kill the front line. I mean, this is just guarding against the world's worst draw, because we take no damage to the front liner anyway.
This is true. This is very true. Okay. Skip it?
Yeah.
Yeah, skip it. None of those cards are super high value. We've got to rest before the boss.
Okay. Do we? We have a Dex Potion, a Block Potion, a Weak Potion, a High Value Melees, a High Value Neutralize. I think
Adrenaline and Concentrate.
I think if we smith a Bouncing Flask, we're actually way better off.
I think it's greedy. I think that there is a slim, not high, slim chance that we get a draw screw. And with only 11 HP to work with, things get a little dangerous. But you can get away with Bouncing Flask here. 95% of the time. That other 5% of the time, you lose the run. I think we can get away with smithing.
Yeah, but it's super important to upgrade that Bouncing Flask.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage, and it'll stack up and help us mode shift him more reliably. A little sad that our Concentrate showed up in the first hand without melees. So you've got to Adrenaline, and then I think you just hard melees and block potion. Hard melees is what? It's going to be 5 minus strength, brings him down to 19 strength. So he's only going to hit 15.
Okay, that's not how that works, though, because the strength reduction applies first, and he's already weakened. So his initial damage is 32. The melees would be taking that down to 28. And then he would be losing 7 from that because of the 25 reduction. So he'd actually go down to 21 damage.
Which doesn't quite kill us.
If we Bouncing Flask double strike, we actually transform him.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. Double strike is
so
3 damage through, and then the bouncing flask is 12 damage.
Yeah, no, I struggle with the small numbers on the buffs, so I
Yeah.
can't actually see the exact amount of damage we need because of the screen sharing that we're using. Please, Malays, concentrate. No,
It's just
Okay,
important
well,
to
at
play
least we got
bouncing flask every time we get it. I think here we
Yeah.
play bouncing flask and take 1 damage, but use survivor. We also have the possibility of using the dex potion to try and maintain our perfect against this boss.
I think we dex potion.
Cool.
I think we bouncing flask, dex potion, survivor. Yeah. Because we really can perfect this guy super easy if,
Hard malaise, block potion.
yes.
Just look at that. The multi-attacks are reduced so ridiculously. It's just lovely to see. In fact, we can also throw out the weaken there. 0 by 4. Come on.
It's
so good.
amazing.
This turn, we actually don't want to damage the Guardian because he takes... no, actually, we totally do. Never mind. I was wrong.
Yeah, throw a bouncing flask at him and then slap him as hard as we can.
Mm-hmm. The poison occurs underneath anyway. So we can do 2 attacks to you.
And he actually will die because we get another bouncing flask.
Mm-hmm. See, the bouncing flask was all of our damage, basically, through that entire thing. That's why I was so intent on upgrading the bouncing flask beforehand. Ooh! God! Burst bouncing flask! Burst malaise!
Yeah, it's gotta be a burst here. This deck is all about the malaise and the bouncing flask. And because we have Omamori, Cursed Key is a snap pick.
Yes. It's worth noting, in my opinion, Cursed Key is also always a snap pick, but Omamori just makes it even better. So,
Cursed Key is really good,
mhm.
but on the first floor, if I was offered Black Star and I had a strong deck, I might choose Black Star over Cursed Key.
Sure, but I guess, especially in a deck like this, where we've got Burst, and when Burst is upgraded, you want to play 2 skills after the Burst. If one of those is going to be Bouncing Flask, then you're not going to have any energy to do anything afterwards. So a lot of the time I'm thinking... Yeah, a lot of the time I'm thinking in general, is this a deck that needs more energy? Malaise, Bouncing Flask, and Burst all say definitely yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the first section. For the moment, my name has been Rhapsody, his name has been Lollash, the name of the game has been Slay the Spire. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you in just a moment. Lollash also said goodbye.
Oh, I should say goodbye. Goodbye!